Next in the systems of cockroach is the circulatory system. Now, before we start knowing about the circulatory system of a cockroach, we need to know what are open circulatory systems. We study about open and closed circulatory system when we study circulation in the human physiology, but for now you need to know what open circulatory system is and how it is different from the closed circulatory system. First thing is that the open circulatory system does not have blood vessels. Now, what are blood vessels? You talk a lot about arteries and veins inside your body, and in our body, if the blood goes out of these blood vessels, supposedly somewhere out, if it is coming out, then that particular condition is known as hemorrhage, and it is quite a dangerous condition. You must be knowing about that. In the lower organisms, those which do not have closed circulatory system, they do not have blood vessels. So, that circulatory system is open circulatory system. Why it is open? Because the blood is not confined to the vessels. Secondly, whatever visceral organs the organism is having, they are bathed directly into the fluid, connective tissue. That could be blood, or it could be hemolymph, or it could be any other type of connective tissue that is serving the purpose of carrying the material and connecting the body parts, basically, as in the case of blood. So, in the case of open circulatory system, the points that you need to know is that blood is not held in vessels. Instead, the blood or the body fluid circulates through the body cavity. That would be the coelom, basically. So, the tissues and cells are bathed in blood. Directly they are bathed in the blood. In our case, we do not have tissues that are directly bathed in the blood. We have a capillary supply to every organ and the tissue, and from there the whatever transport material is being carried out by the blood, that is taken up. That means they have a little less developed system, and in the case of cockroach, we have an open circulatory system. They have given you two counterpoints, that is, in the case of mammals, you have the closed circulatory system, and in case of insects, some insects, arthropods, you have open circulatory system. And those of you who have killed any insect, you would never find blood coming out of their body. Whenever you kill any insect, supposedly, you would never see a reddish blood that would come out. Instead, there would be something whitish material that would be coming out, whitish viscous substance that comes out. That is known as hemolymph. So, their fluid in which the organs would be bathed or the tissues would be bathed, that would be hemolymph. We are going to study about that. But let us see what is the circulatory system of cockroach all about. In the previous slide, as you can see, this is a cockroach only that is being shown, and they have tried to show you sinuses. Now, what are sinuses? Sinuses are the empty spaces inside which you find hemolymph. Now, what is hemolymph? See, there are few terms that you need to be aware of. There is a thing known as hemocoel. Okay. Then inside hemocoel is the cavity inside which you would find hemolymph. Now, hemolymph is the blood of cockroach, as you can say. It's not blood actually, it is the blood of cockroaches. Hemolymph is made up of plasma and hemocytes. And these hemocytes, they do not have reddish pigment present inside them, rather it appears whitish, and it is a viscous substance that is present. Now, what you see over here is, this is the segmental arrangement of a cockroach. You have a dorsal line of cockroach. Now, dorsal, that is the back of the cockroach, it has a central dorsal line, that is mid dorsal line, and along that mid dorsal line runs the heart of the cockroach. In each segment there is an individual heart. Each segment is having a heart, so it has 13 segments basically. You see, there is an anterior aorta which opens up into the sinuses. So, every time the blood would be coming inside the heart, and it would enter the sinuses through anterior aorta's opening. We have alary muscles, that are the heart muscles. This much part is heart, individual segments, individual heart, and it is having openings through which the blood from sinuses enters inside it, and those openings are known as ostia. Now, it is something like this. Supposedly, I am showing you heart like this. There would be an opening known as ostia, and then there would be next heart. In this way, the blood from the sinuses would enter the heart, it would move further, then it would enter from here, it would move further, and at the end you have anterior aorta from which it would re-enter the sinuses respectively, whichever sinus it had entered from. Moving further, what we have over here is, first of all I told you that it is present on the dorsal side, mid dorsal line has the heart arrangements. You can see the heart parts in each segment. You can see the ostia over here, and this particular arrows, these arrows are showing where the blood flow is about. Now over here it's not blood, it is the hemolymph. Now you see this is the dorsal diaphragm, the hard portion of dorsal aorta has been represented by this way. This shows that the ostia is receiving the hemolymph from the sinuses. Now how the sinuses are formed, there is a ventral diaphragm and there is a dorsal diaphragm. Now the dorsal diaphragm separates the heart from the rest of the body, that is visceral part. Now this ventral diaphragm forms the ventral part, and over here we have the nervous system. So every time these sinuses are going to push their hemolymph inside the ostia, and from ostia it is going to move further and further, and from anterior aorta it is going to come back into the sinuses. So this is about the circulatory system of cockroach. Next what we have is the respiratory system. What is there in the respiratory system? It is very simple. The respiratory system is so simple that all you have to remember is that there is trachea and there are spiracles, and there is a tracheal trunk for the supply of oxygen, that is air, which is inhaled by the cockroach. Now every segment is yet again having its own spiracles, pair of spiracles. Both the sides are going to have the spiracles. You can see over here the main tracheal trunk to head is having its thoracic spiracles are supplying the blood to it, not blood, pardon me, it's the air. You have thoracic spiracles, then you have abdominal spiracles. Now what are spiracles? These are the small openings from where the cockroach's body is connected to the atmosphere, or whatever ambient habitat it is in, it would be connected to that atmosphere, and the spiracles are the main site, or you can say it is a hole, it is an opening from where the air enters. Then we have abdominal spiracles. Inside the body of the cockroach, what you see is that there are tracheal trunks which are present. Longitudinal tracheal trunks, they connect the spiracle of one segment to the other, while the ventral tracheal trunk, it is the long one for maintaining a connection, and then we have a transverse tracheal trunk as well, which connects both the spiracles inside the segment. And we have abdominal spiracles. This is what you have to remember about the spiracles of a cockroach. You have to remember about the trunks. There would be a ventral trunk, there would be a longitudinal trunk, there would be a transverse tracheal trunk that you have to remember. And next is what a spiracle would look like if we have to understand it in the simplest terms. Inside insect, supposedly this is inside of insect, this is the spiracle, there is trachea. So the opening of spiracle is connected directly to the trachea. Trachea branches into tracheoles, and these tracheoles would be in connection with the hemolymph, where the blood oxygen or the supply would be taken up. Next what we have is the excretory system, that is of Malpighian tubules. Now in the case of Malpighian tubules, what we had seen that they were present at the junction of midgut and hindgut. What we are going to learn over here is that how the excretion takes place. See, this is the midgut, this is the intestine, this is the junction. So we are showing the midgut towards that side, and this part shows the hindgut. Over here this part is the Malpighian tubule. Now you see the Malpighian tubules are taking up soil, water and nitrogenous wastes. They are filtering it and then throwing their waste, whatever material, that is uric acid, would be formed. The nitrogenous waste in the form of uric acid would be thrown into the hindgut, and there would be urine and fecal matter would be thrown out, and at the rectum there is little bit of reabsorption of water that takes place. So we have dealt with another three systems of cockroach, that is excretory system, then we had respiratory system, and we had the circulatory system.